Hey, good day. Welcome to another episode of Raw Report. I'm your host, Robert Bob TV Brown. How you doing today? Well, been a little busy, out there fighting the movement for working people, working with my union that I'm working with now, thanks to prayers from you guys about me getting a job. I'm not at a position where I can do this full time yet because it requires a lot of non complicit stuff. It requires a lot non controversial topics. See, YouTube want to have somebody that they can advertise off of, and they can't do that with me. I talk about war with Iran. I talked about Saudi Arabia. I talk about white supremacy. I talk about bad cops. Talk about people being framed to go to jail. I talk about everything that's controversial, and it doesn't want to be advertisers don't want to be tagged to that, and I don't care. I'm not going to be advertiser friendly. So YouTube, I pretty much every now and then I click on the monetization. Most of the time I don't, because I know it's going to get demonetized, and I'm not going to give them the opportunity to demonetize my videos. That's why I work a job, and because I don't want to depend on ad revenue. I do want to depend on my subscribers, but not by them donating to me directly. I got products and services that I believe and trust, and I use. I use the products that I have down at the bottom. Been using them for years, and I just think it'll be a benefit to you. And that way, I can monetize myself by doing business with you. So that's what I depend on. And hopefully soon, I have a goal on one of the services I provide to you. And if I hit that goal, then I'll be able to do this full time. My goal is to get 1,000 subscribers to one of my services. And if I do that, I'll be in a comfortable position to do this anywhere I want to, anytime I want to, any day, any place, all over the world. If I just get 1,000 subscribers to my IXQ TV services. Anyway, today I'm going to talk about the debates. Everybody had something to say about the debates, and all my buddies on YouTube, they had some great points about the debates. But let me get into Bob's TV view of the debates. Now, I've seen both debates, and to me, debates are boring. At least these debates are. The last debates wasn't boring because you never know what Trump was going to say out of his mouth, and the media played off that and gave him all that free press. Those who are talking about policies, no free press. Those who they wanted to win, free press, all the press they want. Hillary Clinton got all the press. Um, Donald Trump got all the press. Bernie Sanders got no press because what he's actually talking about actually helped people, and it's not that entertaining. And Bernie Sanders is like a broken record. Bernie Sanders is not saying nothing new. He got a couple of new policies, but most of the bottom line is most of the policies that Bernie Sanders have or anybody else in the progressive movement have, Green Party adopted, products had those policies a long time ago. This new debt, wiping away student debt, Green Party been pushing it. Green New Deal, Green Party been pushing this. I can go election reform, Green Party been pushing that. So they've actually co-opted, stole, bite in the words of hip hop, that those policies and made it theirs. And now everybody's trying to do that. So even though there's two separate debates, Bernie Sanders and his policies dominated the debates. Now, there's a couple of breakout points. The first debates kind of sucked. Um, Elizabeth Warren is Elizabeth Warren. Nothing excited about her. She didn't impress me. She didn't wow me. She didn't impress me. She didn't wow me. She just don't. I'll take her over Donald Trump, but I'm not a fan. Let me put it this way. And it will take a whole lot for her to get my vote. But the two breakout persons on that stage was not Cory Booker, and it was not Amy Klobuchar, Cloud with the boot in a jar. It wasn't her. It wasn't Bet on My Stork. Uh, I mean, so on the first night of debates, something devastating happened. That's the only way I could put it. Something um, Tulsi Gabbard, we already knew that once Tulsi Gabbard get on the stage, the numbers are going to go up. People are going to be looking into her. They're going to be checking her out. the mainstream media pretty much have been trying to black out Tulsi Gabbard. Fox News give Tulsi Gabbard more props than anybody. Now, a lot of people try to count out Tulsi Gabbard, talking about her past as a religious person in her faith, and they try to crap on that. To me, that's her faith, and that's what her faith believes. Don't crap on her, crap on the faith. All right? It's just like there's some parts of Christianity. Don't get that mad at the Christian that don't believe the way you do. That's their faith. Crap on their faith. Don't crap on them. They just trying to believe what they've been brought up to believe through their faith. All right? In time, just pray people change. Well, they try to get on that on the LGBT community issue, yet she's pushed more legislation than just about anybody in Congress to make it equal for the LGBT community to have access to a host of things. And then the second one is her military or foreign affairs, her foreign relationship, her foreign relations mindset, her experience in foreign relations. So they try to crap on that because she's all about peace and us not going to war and trying to work with these numbnuts instead of trying to take them out, which pretty much may cause the obliteration of the, pretty much can destroy this country and destroy this word, which can pretty much destroy this country and this world if we just go around trying to get rid of all these dictators. So here is a situation where she got her first breakout moment. It was the most hot trending breakout moment so far in the debates. And people began to look into her because of this one situation right here.
For killing 2 American service members in Afghanistan. Leaders as disparate as President Obama and President Trump have both said that they want to end U.S. involvement in Afghanistan. But it isn't over for America. Why isn't it over? Why can't presidents of very different parties and very different temperaments get us out of there? And how could you?
I appreciate that question. So I've been in Congress 17 years, and 12 of those years I've sat on the Armed Services Committee, either the Defense Appropriations Committee or the Armed Services Committee. And the lesson that I've learned over the years is that you have to stay engaged in these situations. Nobody likes it. It's long. It's tedious. But right now we have, so I would say we must be engaged in this. We must have our State Department engaged. We must have our military engaged to the extent they need to be. But the reality of it is this president doesn't even have people appointed in the State Department to deal with these things, whether we're talking about Central America, whether we're talking about Iran, whether we're talking about Afghanistan. We've got to be completely engaged. And here's why. Because these flare-ups distract us from the real problems in the country. If getting drones shot down for $130 million because the president is distracted, that's $130 million that we could be spending in places like Youngstown, Ohio, or Flint, Michigan.
All right, so right away we know that Tim Ryan is a war hawk. He is not progressive, and all he cares about is trying to control countries, trying to make sure the country bend to American interests, trying to see if we can be the policemen of the entire world, trying to see what we can do, how we can drain out whatever we can out of every country, including terrorists, so-called terrorist haven or so-called dictator rulership, whatever. He's trying to do whatever he can to, and look at his eyes, look at them eyes. That's the eye of a bloodthirsty or war-hungry warmonger who all he cares about is us staying in these places, continuing to dominate, control, colonize, because that's all what it is, in the name of democracy, in the name of bringing democracy to a country that never asked us for democracy. He kept mentioning all these other countries that we have so-called interest in when we need to just mind our doggone business and leave these countries alone.
Or rebuilding.
Congresswoman Gabbard, I'm going to give you 30 seconds, actually, to jump off what he said. He described engagement as the problem. Is that what you will tell the parents of those 2 soldiers who were just killed in Afghanistan? Well, we just have to be engaged.
As a soldier, I will tell you that answer is unacceptable. We have to bring our troops home from Afghanistan. We are in a...
All right, let's look at this.
Leaders as disparate as President...
Let's look at this.
But it
again.
isn't over.
I've been in Congress 17 years, committee or the situations. Nobody likes it. It's long. It's tedious. But right now we have, so I would say we must be engaged in this. We must have our State Department engaged. We must have our military engaged to the extent they need to be. But the reality of it is this president doesn't even have people appointed in the State Department to deal with these things, whether we're talking about Central America, whether we're talking about Iran, whether we're talking about Afghanistan. We've got to be completely engaged. And here's why. Because these flare-ups distract us from the real problems in the country. If getting drones shot down for $130 million because the president is distracted, that's $130 million that we could be spending in places like Youngstown, Ohio, or Flint, Michigan, or rebuilding.
Congresswoman Gabbard, I'm going to give you 30 seconds, actually, to jump off what he said. He described engagement as the problem. Is that what you will tell
the parents of those 2 soldiers who were just killed in Afghanistan? Well, we just have to be engaged. As a soldier, I will tell you that answer is unacceptable. We have to bring our troops home from Afghanistan. We are in a place in Afghanistan where we have lost so many lives. We've spent so much money, money that's coming out of every one of our pockets, money that should be going into communities here at home, meeting the needs of the people here at home. We are no better off in Afghanistan today than we were when this war began. This is why it's so important to have a president and commander-in-chief who knows the cost of war and who's ready to do the job on day one. I am ready to do that job when I walk.
All right, before I go any further, give me a moment.
Into the Oval Office. Thank you very much.
Listen, I'm going to go down the line. I'm going to go down the line here. Well, you know what? You felt like she was responding. You get 30 seconds. Go.
Good man.
Fair enough.
I appreciate that.
I hear what you're saying.
I would just say I don't want to be engaged. I wish we were spending all this money in places that I've represented that have been completely forgotten and we were rebuilding. But the reality of it is if the United States isn't engaged, the Taliban will grow and they will have...
You mean if the United States isn't in control, they will grow? Who cares if they grow? Let them grow. That's their country. They can grow whatever we want, whatever they want. They can grow a mole, they can grow weed, they can grow cocaine. It's their country.
Bigger, bolder terrorist acts. We have got to have some present there. The
Taliban was there long before we came in. They'll be there long before we leave.
Well,
we cannot keep U.S. troops deployed to Afghanistan thinking that we're going to somehow squash this Taliban that has been there, that every other country that's tried has failed.
I didn't say squash them. When we weren't in there, they started flying planes into our buildings. So I'm just saying right now,
the Taliban didn't attack us on 9/11. Al-Qaeda did.
Well, I understand.
Al-Qaeda attacked us on 9/11.
I understand.
That's why I and so many other people joined the military to go after Al-Qaeda, not the Taliban.
The Taliban was protecting those people who were plotting against us. All I'm saying is, if we want to go into elections and we want to say that we got to withdraw from the world, that's what President Trump is saying. We can't. I would love for us to.
Protecting Al-Qaeda.
What is wrong with President Trump saying we need to withdraw from all these countries? That's the one thing I like about Trump. That's the one thing that I hand clap him on, stand up for him on, because we don't need to be sending troops down to fight these wars when there is nothing going on concerning us. These people did not attack us. The Taliban did not attack us. Afghanistan did not attack us. It's Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda attacked us because of certain things we did to stab them in the back. There's reason why people do evil things sometimes. Some of it don't make sense. Some of it is just stupid, but it's still a reason. We use the Taliban. We use Afghan soldiers to push back Russia, and we promise certain things to them, and then we, as usual, turn our back on them like we do any country or any leader that works with us. And you wonder why we're not trusted in the world. We wasn't trusted with Obama, we wasn't trusted, and we're not trusted with Trump. Turned our back on those people. Now, those people have extreme ideologies. You don't think they're going to try to send a message to us saying, yo, I mean, it's like being with a jilted lover. I mean, I just saw Chucky, the new Child's Play movie. Chucky wasn't having that. You belong to me. I kill everybody just to send that message to you. So this guy is just losing his head on this whole thing. We don't need to be there. We don't need to be sending soldiers. We don't need to be flying drones, killing people who had nothing to do with what Al-Qaeda did, or with ISIS or ISIL or al-Nusra. Let me keep going. We're almost done with this particular segment.
Right now in Saudi Arabia.
Now, Tulsi Gabbard is right. It wasn't. It was not the Taliban. Sure, they probably was hiding in the hills of Afghanistan, and the Taliban, probably the citizens are there. What you expect them to do? You think the Taliban is going to tell Al-Qaeda what to do? And you expect the Taliban to stick up for the United States when the United States don't have any relationship with the Taliban? Matter of fact, the United States will spit on the Taliban because of their religious belief. Because we got to go promote Christianity. Don't get me wrong, I'm a Christian man, but we act like we got to cram Christianity down people's throat. We're worse than Alexander the Great and all the people who conquered the world trying to cram Christianity down people's throat. Religion is not supposed to be crammed down people's throat. So Tulsi Gabbard is right on that issue, and she should have took it to Congressman Ryan because he's wrong. And I'm glad she did. And she made him look like a fool on that debate stage. And then as a result of that, Tulsi Gabbard started trending. Everybody is looking to find out who she is. Well, I knew who she was. Most of the Democrats knew who she was because she the one stepped down from the vice presidency of the DNC. She was second to Debbie Wasserman. Debbie Wasserman Schultz. She was second to Debbie Wasserman Schultz. She couldn't stand. She knew that they were rigging this primary in 2016, that Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Hillary Clinton was planning to screw Bernie out of the nomination. And they was rigging it, and they was rigging it through superdelegates, the whole 9 yards, through the state legislators, through the voting department in each state. Planned, strategized. She couldn't take it, so she stepped down. Plus, she believed in Bernie Sanders' policies. So she went out and started campaigning for Bernie Sanders. So the Democratic Party hate her just for the simple fact that she didn't go with the plan to push Hillary to the nomination, to crown her as the queen of the Democratic Party without opposition. And shame on a person to oppose her. When this is America, nobody should be running for president by themselves. They should always have a challenger to keep them going the way of the people instead of just mosey their way on to the nomination. Last person did that was Barack Obama in his second term. Now, Tulsi Gabbard did good on this piece. Now, we're going to look at another piece. Tulsi Gabbard actually had a chance to go on Bill Maher, and she punched and shamed him too. Bill Maher tried his best to shame her, tried his best to catch her off guard. You are not going to do that with her. Now, one person caught her off guard is this guy who asked about questions about reparation, and she blew him off. Now, I got a problem with that, and I'm going to be dealing with that because Tulsi Gabbard, you don't need to be blowing anybody black who's asking you about your support reparation. You got to go beyond HR 40 because that's not a support. That is a study, and it don't need to be studied. I done went through the song over and over again. It don't need to be studied. It's already been studied. There's a plan to implement it. You just need to endorse it. She blew the dude off.
The first female combat veteran running to be president of the United States and Hawaii's rep from the 2nd Congressional District there, Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi. Hey. How you doing? Aloha.
Great to see you again.
Yes, great to see you. Wow.
That's not the Aloha crew out here.
That's good. Come on. Is that an organic uprising for you? Or did you bring some people with you?
No, come
really?
on.
Okay, well, I love you and I love Hawaii. I thought you did quite well.
Thank you.
I did. We're going to eliminate some people tonight, and you're not one of them. I want you to stick around. No. What do you think of the debates in general? How did you think the party in general looked?
Look, I think it's tough when you've got 60 seconds to say.
Now, let me set this up. Again, Tulsi Gabbard is the first combat war veteran to run for office. She is also a female. She is also a minority and a very, very heavy religious person. She pretty much leans toward the Hindu religion, especially in the Hare Krishna aspect of Hindu religion. And she's from Hawaii. And Hawaii is an expensive place, but as she always say, there's a lot of aloha going on. You don't hear about a bunch of dumb stuff coming out of Hawaii. You know what I mean? Stand your ground laws, cops killing black people and all that kind of. They probably do it, but you don't hear about it. You sure hear about it in the South. But don't, like I said, don't let the pretty face and the calm aloha spirit fool you. She's a pit bull. She's more like one of those pit bulls that they're sweet and nice as long as you don't push them too far. And if you push them too far, that pit bull will bite on you to the point that either you're going to have to kill that pit bull or you're going to have to, wherever he bite, you're going to have to cut that off. And that's how Tulsi Gabbard is. So when you plan on putting her on your show for the sole reason of shaming her, smearing her, then you better watch out. And that's the problem with how media handled Tulsi. Bad enough they blacked out her the whole time since she announced her run for president, that a lot of people didn't even know that she was running, and she was one of the first ones to come out saying she was running for president. Bad enough the newspapers and printed media is trying to smear her from the left to the right, up and down, because she's super strong on foreign policies, and she's learning how to even be stronger on domestic policies. She is what some people would say a quiet storm. She is. Now, like I said, I got my two issues concerning Tulsi Gabbard, and that's her blowing off the reparation issue. Like I said, the HR 40 doesn't mean nothing to me. Don't come talking to me about your support for a study. And then the fact that she's in the Democratic Party, because I'm an independent. I don't support either side. I try to be fair and balanced. And I'm going to always vote for the most progressive person. I don't look at parties. I look at the person. So, of course, I'm not going to expect her to lead the party. She's one of the one that figured that I'm here to make change to the party. And to each his own, you got a right to believe that. And if you believe that, go for it. To me, we need a third party to make sure these other two parties don't go too far to the left and to the right. But Tulsi considers herself a third party mindset person in that party. But again, she's nothing to be messed with. And don't you dare think you're going to sneak up on her and try to shame her out. Many people have learned their lesson. You ask the people on The View and any other TV show that try to smear her and see how they came out.
Well, how are you going to solve climate change?
Yeah.
How are you going to deal with the national security threats that we face? How are you going to deal with this threat of nuclear war that we face? So, I think the format is challenging, but I think all of this really comes down to who can best defeat Donald Trump.
But those issues didn't come up a lot.
That's the problem.
Yeah, right.
That is the problem.
Right. Well, if I was just...
Now, let me stop there for a second. Now, mind you, the theme of media and the theme of political leaders in the Democratic Party, the assumed theme of the people on the ground is our number one job is to defeat Donald Trump. I'm here to tell you that's a bunch of hogwash. That's a bunch of lies. And it's BS, man. Their number one goal is to stop the progressive. Whether it be Warren, so-called progressive Warren, progressive Bernie Sanders, progressive Tulsi Gabbard. I'm going to stop there because the rest of them ain't progressive. They need to get out of here with that stuff. Kamala Harris, none of them are progressive. Cory Booker's not a progressive. Kirsten Gillibrand, none of them. Amy Klobuchar, none of them. Those are your three top-tier progressives. And the top two is Bernie Sanders and Tulsi Gabbard, who I think probably will end up being the ticket if they get nominated. Either she's going to be his VP or she's going to be his Secretary of State. I'd rather have Nina Turner as his VP, a black woman who knows his vision, who is very capable of being president. But she would never get elected to be president, and that's why he need to pick her as VP, because it doesn't require election. The number one goal of the Democratic Party is not to defeat Trump at this moment. Matter of fact, most of them behind closed doors and closet, they like Trump. Most of them been knowing Trump all for at least 20 years. Most of them have gotten donations from Trump. You ever look at any one of these politician donation lists, you'll find Donald Trump or the Trump Foundation as a high donor to Democrats and Republicans. The number one job is not to defeat Donald Trump. The number one job is to defeat a progressive and hope that a centric win that nomination. And I'm telling you, if you do that and screw either one of these three, Trump 2020 will happen again. Mark my words. I told you the last time in 2016, and it came to pass, and I'm telling you right now. I keep telling you, it is not enough for Democrats to get out the vote and vote for Democrats when you got a growing base of independents that don't like the Democratic Party, don't like the Republican Party, but they definitely ain't going to go with a centric old school politician. Anything that smells like a politician, they're going to run away from. They're looking for an outsider, a populist. And we got three right here. Well, two. Because Elizabeth Warren is a capitalist with a bunch of good policies. Let me keep going.
Passing viewer who was like checking over the field, shopping. My first look at a lot of these people, I would have thought, well, the Democrats really, 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 really care about illegal immigrants. They also care somewhat about health care and energy and the environment, mostly about how they affect illegal immigrants. At one point last night, they were asked, or was it your night, to raise your hand if you think that illegal immigrants should get free health care. And they all raised their hand, and this was the New York Post headline today: "Who wants to lose the election?"
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, look, I saw an interview that you did recently talking specifically about how the media is driving for profits and ratings and divisiveness, rather than actually looking at what are the real issues that the American people are struggling with. How are we as candidates running for president seeking to solve those challenges? But ultimately, I think what all of this comes down to is that ultimate question: is who is the best candidate to defeat Donald Trump? That's our objective in November of 2020.
But the people on the stage, they seem to be playing to the Twitter Roddy.
Yeah.
That 2%. One thing I like about you is, having been to war, I feel like your attitude about the Twitter people is like, I've been to war, so like I could give a shit what you people say about me.
Pretty much it.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, Bill, that's a sign that that same message go to you, bruh. Tulsi Gabbard don't care what nobody say about her. She don't care what the Democrats say about her, Republicans, or you or your grandma say about her. She don't care. She's tough. I mean, that's not a good thing all the time, but she don't care what people say about her. Now, it's funny how Bill Maher mentioned all these things and never mentioned anything about black issues. But that's besides the point. Let me keep going.
It's true, though. I mean, this is really about leadership or the lack thereof. And we have too many politicians who, put their finger up to the Twitter wind and see which way it's blowing,
right,
and then respond or change their position or whatever the case may be, rather than actually leading, looking at these issues based on their merit, on their substance, saying, what is in the best interest of the American people? That's what I try to do. And honestly, people have a hard time figuring me out because I don't play those games.
Right.
I don't fit in those boxes that they set up.
Right. And politicians have always put their finger to the wind. That's okay to some point. You're supposed to represent, to a degree, the people who voted for you. But put your finger up to the 98%. Yeah. Not the 2%. If you're going to put your finger in the wind, don't do it to the 2% wind, is my request. Okay. So what'd you think of Putin? This all got buried because of the debates.
Yeah.
Trump is in Japan.
Hold up. Now, Bill Maher is part of the 2%. Let me go back and hear what he had to say about that, because
similar pieces of legislation. It's all talk. It's not action.
It's amazing to me how the Republicans can see a display like that of Trump with Putin. He's done this before, but with the
is that whether it's Republicans in leadership or Democrats in leadership, they're talking about how much they care about the security of our elections, but they've failed to do anything about it. They've failed to pass my type of paper ballot.
Killed, by some accounts, over 20.
Put their finger up to the
people on the stage. They seem to be playing to the Twitter, Roddy.
Yeah.
That 2%. One thing I like about you is, having been to war, I feel like your attitude about the Twitter people is like, I've been to war, so like I could give a shit what you people say about me.
Pretty much it.
Yeah, I think so.
It's true, though. I mean, this is really about leadership or the lack thereof. And we have too many politicians who, put their finger up to the Twitter wind and see which way it's blowing,
right,
and then respond or change their position or whatever the case may be, rather than actually leading, looking at these issues based on their merit, on their substance, saying, what is in the best interest of the American people? That's what I try to do. And honestly, people have a hard time figuring me out because I don't play those games.
Right.
I don't fit in those boxes that they set up.
Right. And politicians have always put their finger to the wind. That's okay to some point. You're supposed to represent, to a degree, the people who voted for you. But put your finger up to the 98%. Yeah. Not the 2%. If you're going to put your finger in the wind, don't do it to the 2% wind, is my request. Okay. So what'd you think of Putin? This all got buried because of the debates.
Yeah.
Trump is in Japan. He met with Putin. Loved it, of course. His spirit animal. I mean, he was joking about the fact that Putin meddled in our election. Some reporter said, are you going to tell President Putin not to meddle in the election? He made a joke out of it.
All right, so here we go again with this mess. Putin meddling in the elections. We're sitting here right now trying to topple a government in Iran, in Venezuela, trying to overthrow a whole entire government, a government that those people probably, the leadership that those people probably elected and don't want us to touch nothing to do with their country. We're going to bogart our way into their affairs and try to topple their government and put in place a leader that play ball with us. And we got the nerves to be talking about Trump and his friendship with Putin and whether he's going to meddle in the elections or not. When we've meddled in Russian election and every other election you can, but like I say, we go even further than meddling. We find ways to get rid of that dictator, get rid of that person that don't play ball with us. If we have to even kill them. And then we replace them with somebody else who's going to play ball with us. And we got the nerves to talk about Trump and Putin. Really, Bill? You got to say that out your mouth? We doing that today, bruh? We the biggest hypocrites, and we meddle in people's affairs and elections all over the country, all over the world. Let me keep going.
He made a joke out of the fact, he said something about reporters, fake news. We have to deal with that. You're lucky in Russia, you don't, which, you know, Putin has killed, by some accounts, over 20 journalists, so get it.
And we allowed our best so-called besties, our best buddies, our deuce, our homies, Saudi Arabia, to kill one of our journalists, and we didn't do anything.
I mean, this is just beyond the pale.
Yeah. I mean, we have to take seriously the security of our elections because of the vulnerabilities that exist still now that really have the ability to undermine our democracy. There's a hacking conference that's held every year in Las Vegas where I think a 14 or 15-year-old girl from Florida hacked into a replica of Florida's election system in less than 15 minutes. There are too many states in this country who still don't use any type of paper ballot or have any paper record of the votes that are cast. So when you think about whether it's a foreign country or a rogue actor or a high school student who's going in with the intent of manipulating the outcome of the votes that we cast, that is the true danger to our democracy and to our elections. I've introduced legislation called the Securing America's Elections Act that would very simply solve that. Make sure that there's either a paper ballot or if you're using a machine, have a voter verified paper backup so that no matter what happens, no matter who tries to interfere in our elections, we have the ability to audit that and make sure that...
Republicans wouldn't vote for it?
All right, so before she go any further, boom in your face, Bill Maher, boom in your face. She's saying basically, if you're going to keep talking about this Russia crap, you got to understand anybody can hack into an election system. From a 15-year-old high school kid to rogue actors to actual governments like Russia and the United States. And she is basically saying if you, either you're going to talk the talk or walk the walk. All right? Do you really want to make sure that the election is secured? Well, if you want to make sure the election is secured, let's go back to paper ballots. I introduced a bill that will put us back into paper ballots instead of dealing with these computerized machines. That way there's a paper backup to validate whether that person won or not. Let's keep going.
That well, the problem is that whether it's Republicans in leadership or Democrats in leadership, they're talking about how much they care about the security of our elections, but they've failed to do anything about it. They've failed to pass my legislation or other people who've introduced similar pieces of legislation.
All right, so Bill Maher said, so the Republicans didn't approve of it? Bill, she's saying none of these people approved of it. The Democrats or the Republicans did not approve her legislation to go to paper ballots. Know why? Because they want to manipulate the elections. If anybody manipulating our elections, it's our own political leadership. The Democrats manipulate the election in 2016 against Bernie Sanders, and who knows what the Republicans do. But it is a proven fact, certified with the stamp, that Hillary Clinton took over the DNC, bailed them out with some money, and began to control the narrative and control the process of winning that election to serve her. And if we would have paper ballot backup, we could have dealt with that mess. And nobody's been prosecuted to this day. We probably had a person in New York that got a slap on the wrist. But nobody's really calling out the rigging of the Democratic Party. And I want Tulsi to call this stuff out on national TV.
It's all talk. It's not action.
It's amazing to me how the Republicans can see
Bill, bruh, stop talking about the Republicans. This is both parties.
See a display like that of Trump with Putin. He's done this before, but, you know, with the American flag pin. Yeah. I think you got to take that pin off if you're okay with that.
Look, getting back to what our mission is, what our focus is putting the interests of the American people above all else. And that is the problem with Washington. Whether it's one party or the other party, they'll go after the other party while they turn a blind eye to the problems of their own, rather than putting the people first.
Yes, I know. So one place where you're fairly similar to Trump, is you're a non-interventionist.
Yeah.
I mean,
All right, Bill, don't you dare come off of what she just said. She said it doesn't matter. No matter whether the election was rigged, one is always trying to call the other one out without even looking at their own house. Get your own house in order, bruh. Get your own house in order. How are the Democrats going to get mad at Trump and his so-called relationship with Putin, who is alleged, still no proof that he did it, hacked, not interfered, hacked the election? It's already been proven Russia did not hack the elections. They probably put up some Facebook group and probably moved the minds of some people. I guess Americans are so dumb they can't make up their own mind. At least that's what these people are trying to tell us, that they were easily influenced by Russia. I'd rather be influenced by Russia to vote yes or no on a president than a country coming in and just butting their way in our whole affairs and taking out our government, leaders who we voted in, and putting in somebody they like. I'd rather have that. But you're trying to escape this, what she just said, Bill Maher. She said the problem is one is poking fun at, in other words, the Democrats is getting on Republican and Putin in their relationship when they rigged their own election. They got election integrity issues right now in their own party. You cannot trust them to do right in the primaries. And because they use Russia as an excuse, a lot of people think the Democratic primaries is going to be legit, and it's not. They've been rigging the system from the day they changed the platform. Let me keep going. We're almost done.
I mean, you see this with Iran lately. He's kind of torn. You know, part of him, of course, always wants to strike back.
Yeah.
But he has kind of staked his claim, foreign affairs-wise, on being the guy who does not want us to get into more wars, more regime change wars.
Yeah.
You're on that same page.
He talked a lot about that in his 2016 campaign. But through his administration and through his presidency, we've seen something very different. I think that's why a lot of folks who voted for him they feel very betrayed.
Why? What wars has he got us into?
You mentioned Iran. He says he doesn't want to go to war with Iran. But if you look at the actions that he and his administration have taken, and maybe he's not aware of it, maybe these guys are doing it on their own, John Bolton, Mike Pompeo, and others, but every single decision that they have made towards Iran is laying...
Now, that's something she just said right now. You can't trust Mike Pompeo. He said we teach people how to lie, cheat, and steal. We even have courses. We develop manuals on how to lie, cheat, and steal to the American people. And then you got John Bolton, the madman of Gadara, the one who helped orchestrate the war against Iraq, the war in Iraq, and the war in Afghanistan, who now is Trump's national security advisor. That numbnut, that crazy, psychopathic, bloodthirsty killer. She said he probably don't even know what these two nutwings are doing. See, what I believe is something, Trump may know what these nutwings doing, but he's going to act like he don't know what these nutwings doing. And when they finally go to war, strike war, put us in a position to go to war with Iran, he's going to act like he didn't know. He's going to act like he's mad. He's going to claim to fire, but he's not going to fire because now we're at war and he's going to really need them to try to win this war. At least that's how they're going to play it. When I tell him, Trump, you need to fire them numbnuts right now, one of the reasons why we had, what's his name, the previous Secretary of State step down is because he knew that these fools was trying to get us in a war.
The groundwork for an eventual war.
But we're not there yet, and he could have done it last week when they shot down the drone, and he said something which I think if Obama had said it, we would have liked, which was, hey, we don't know who made that order. That's what Kennedy said in the Cuban Missile Crisis.
That's right.
Let's not be rash.
Trump really doesn't want to go to war with Iran, he's got to swallow his pride and get back into the Iran nuclear deal.
Swallow his pride. That's not going to happen.
No, because if he doesn't, John Bolton and Mike Pompeo and others, I mean, they have literally laid the dynamite and lit the fuse.
One thing about him, he's the boss.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't care what other people say.
Okay.
So where are you on impeachment?
Impeachment is not going to get rid of Donald Trump.
No?
We've got to understand that first.
Probably.
It's realistically, it's
So
not.
you're
gonna
a
happen. It's
no on
not,
that yet?
No, because I think it's important that the American people are the ones who decisively defeat Donald Trump in 2020.
Okay. That's the debate in your party.
Yeah.
Good luck with the campaign. I'm glad you're out there.
All right, there you go. Tulsi Gabbard on the debate stage going against Congressman Ryan. Obliterated the dude. I mean, fatality in Mortal Kombat. She finished that dude. It's over with this dude. How did he get on the debate stage anyway? Who gave him a donation? I mean, come on, man. Some of these people on the debate stage right now, how in the heck they get in the debates? Because the Democratic Party require individual donations. And you got to understand this, individual donations to get people into debates is another money laundering scheme of the Democratic Party. That money's going to Act Blue, and that Act Blue is taking it to the DNC. I don't like it. But if you want to see somebody on that stage, that is their way of getting money. The Democratic Party is one of the most cunning con artists, fundraisers ever. I mean, I thought the Republicans were bad. Democratic Party they've mastered the game. And right now, Tulsi Gabbard qualified for the second debates, but they even up the ante in the third debates. The only way you're going to see your favorite candidate is you got to give them money. You got to. You ain't got no choice. If you want them to win, if you want them to be president, you got to give the DNC money. They say you're giving it to the candidates, but I don't trust that. Now, Tulsi Gabbard obliterated Congressman Ryan. A lot of people got introduced to Tulsi Gabbard that day. They saw a soft but carry a big stick woman. Okay? She is nothing to be played with. She is like hot dynamite. Now, you probably think, oh, Rob, you're a fanboy of Tulsi Gabbard. Look, that's my boy Nico House. He loved Tulsi. And look, don't get me wrong. If I had a gun to my head and I had the choice to vote for anybody, and I had a choice to vote for anybody, she would be my first choice. It would be easier for me to go with her than anybody else. Now, I have not endorsed a candidate because there are some things that I want to see these candidates endorse. And until then, forget my vote. You can have some great policies, but there's a few things I need to see happen before you get my vote. Now, I pretty much got the person who I probably would vote for, but I wouldn't give it up that easy. I'm not a slut voter. You're not going to get it. You're going to earn my vote. You're going to earn it. And right now, I just met you. We need a long relationship. See, the election is in November next year, not this year. So we got a long way to go, baby. You're going to have to court me to get my vote. And that's the way you should be. You shouldn't just give it up. Court them. All right? And last but not least, she gets on Bill Maher and just calls it out. Look, Trump may not have went to war, thank God, but he got the people who showed trying to get him to war, and he need to get rid of them fools. John Bolton and Pompeo and Elliot Abrams shouldn't even be nowhere near that administration. Elliot Abrams is the scum of the earth. He's been locked up for that stuff. And then you're going to put him in your circle of foreign affairs and military advisors? Come on, Trump. And last but not least, Tulsi Gabbard said, if you want to secure this election, don't talk about it, be about it. Because the same person who's claiming Trump Russia rigged their own election in 2016, and they haven't even fixed that. And it looked like they're going to rig it again. So I'm done with this segment, Tulsi. I would say contribute to Tulsi. She need to continue to be on the debates. But my advice to Tulsi is fatality, mortality, okay? When you got those people on the stage, you slay them. Show them how strong you can be. and stop blowing off black people when they come to you and talk about a reparation in the form of a check. That's the starting point of reparations. That's not the beginning. You guys sitting up there trying to have a study on the debates or debate on reparation, trying to figure out how it's going to happen. It's already been studied. First step, monetarization check. And I don't care if you people don't like me saying that, but that's the way it started. That's, Japanese got checks, the Native Americans got them, you name it, they got them. It's the least thing you could do. After brutalizing, ostracizing, raping, getting free labor of black people, you think we don't deserve a check? Well, that was way back in the day, but you're still profiting from it today. The United States is a major, the most powerful country in the world financially because of what we did back then. We built this country on free labor. We built the infrastructure of this company on free labor. We got our money off the back of free labor, and we continue to prosper off that. And I'm not looking for you to give me the money. You who watch and complain, why should I give you? No, you ain't got nothing to do with it. So you can just carry it behind somewhere else. No, the government need to pay that. And that's just the beginning of it. And I ride the reparation horse, whether you like it or not. I don't care if you can unsubscribe. And that's one of my demands. Reparation in the form of check. And as they say, cut the check, cut the check. You owe us. In the name of our ancestors. To this very day, you still in this country is enacting policies of white supremacy. Look, I'm gonna do an article of a brother. He's living in a state where they are stand your ground laws. He tried to protect himself, and he shot a white guy. And the stand your ground laws don't apply to the black man who's protecting himself, but it can apply to a white guy who was just security patrol shooting Trayvon Martin, who had Skittles in his hand. Let me get off this, man. I'm getting fired up now, man. Anyway, Tulsi Gabbard, nothing to play with. I want to continue to see her on the debate stage. I don't want her to go away. There's a lot of other people I'd rather just go away. Just go away. Amy Klobuchar, just go. Pete Booty, go, man. Your whole election is booty. Go. Kirsten Jello-Brand, whatever your name, go. Beto O'Rourke, which is it's not even his real name. Beto, go. There's people who I really want to hear from. And there's people I believe we could apply political pressure on to accept and promote agendas.
Hey, this is Robert Brown with the Raw Report. I want to thank you for watching this particular segment of the Raw Report. Now, before you go, make sure you smash that like button, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you share this particular video. Hit the notification bell. That way you can be alerted whenever we get a new video done and uploaded. Whoop, there it is. But I do try to offer programs available to you that will save you money. So when you get a chance, go to the EJ for All, E, letter J, number 4, all.com, and get educated on one of the most powerful legal protection programs on the face of this planet. Everybody at least need to know about this phenomenal program. I've been a member for 10 years and it got me out of a lot of situations, saving me a ton of money. And then also, I have a new streaming service available. It's called IHQ TV for $39 a month. You get access to over 6,000 high quality HD channels, premium channels, you name it, movie channels, sports channel, the best sport packages around. If you're international from another country, you get access to the channels back home. You name it, kids, entertainment, you name it, it's available for you. So go to DominionIXQTV.com, DominionIXQTV.com, and hey, go ahead and put your information in there and get the free trial. Yep, we'll send you a free trial, let you try it out, and I'm telling you, you will love it. And we have a refer for, pay no more ever. As long as you got those 4 people using the service, you never have to pay a cable bill another day in your life. And all those people who support either of those 2 services, I'm going to make sure you have access to the Patreon channel for free. All right, well, I'm Robert Brown with the Rob Report. Holla at you later. Peace.